go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day.
Hi, and welcome to a brand new Domain Academy podcast. We're starting a new 6-episode miniseries, and I'm really excited to have everyone join us for it. My name's Joe Styler. I'm the Domain Academy instructor at GoDaddy.com, and I've been involved in the domain space for going on 2 decades, and been something I've always enjoyed and want to be able to share with investors new tips and tricks and people who might be new to domain investing to learn about what domain investing is and how you can start to try and make money as a nice side hustle. And with me today is James Iles. I'm going to turn it over to him to introduce himself.
Hey, Jay. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is James Iles, Domain Investment Community Manager at GoDaddy. I've been in the industry a little over a decade. I've had a long career as a writer, domain investor, and then most recently with GoDaddy. And domain investing is such a little niche that I wish more people knew more about. So this is partly what this podcast is about, allowing people to understand a little bit about what we do, the industry we're in, and as you say, the potentials of this as a really good side hustle. So where should we start, Joe?
Well, let's start with the news. We just heard about Rocket.com selling for $14 million to Rocket Mortgage. And those kind of sales make the news and make people stand up and notice that domain names have real value, right? And that's exciting. The one thing about investing in domains, whether you're buying a name for $50 and selling it on for $1,000, or if you are part of a $14 million sale, is that there's a lot of excitement and enjoyment.
Yeah, 100%. But those big 7-8 figure sales, they do happen. They won't happen to you if you're listening to this. 99% saying they won't happen to you, but don't let that put you off. Most of the bigger brands that you'll have heard of or operate on some of these ultra premium domain names. But as you say, lower down the scale, day-to-day domain investors can still purchase domains for anywhere from like $20 really up to thousands of dollars. And hopefully if your instincts are right, if your education's right, then you're going to be able to sell those on. So part of what we're doing in this series is to talk to domain investors that have been through the Domain Academy course. What kind of people are we talking to, Joe?
Very lucky to have some amazing guests on. And some of them, most of them actually, have been part of Domain Academy in one way, shape, or form. Many of them are students that are now successful. So it's going to be fun to be able to bring them on and let them talk to you about what they've learned and how they've been able to be successful in making money on domains. And there's actually 3 of the 5 guests that we're bringing on have gone from just trying to learn about domain investing as a side hustle to making it a full-time career. So that's exciting too. You know, there is money. You might not get that $14 million sale, but there is plenty of opportunity like James talked about. So the next guest that we're going to have on is Leanne. And she's going to talk to you about using data to make wise decisions, right? If you want to buy a name, you have to buy one that you can sell. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to last long in the industry, right? So Leanne's going to show you how to use data to make wise decisions around buying names in the first place.
Leanne has crunch.id. That's her website, puts out the data every single day. And yeah, part of her approach from the very start, I think, has been very much that data driven. Every domain investor has some kind of data that they interpret, but yeah, her focus is really on that data driven approach. The first little baby steps are always about how do you value a domain name? Because there's been so many horror stories out there about people who have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on domains that are essentially worthless. So this is their real foundations for that. And this is a Domain Academy podcast. So I'm sure that Domain Academy has some good tools available to help with evaluations as well.
Yeah, we have great tools at domainacademy.com. And we also have some curriculum that you can get to go through the course. We've had hundreds of other students go through the course and have tremendous feedback from people. Because one of the most important things, as you said, is really understanding the value of a name. You need to know that so that when you make a buy, you're buying wisely, right? So that there's still money to be made. And you need to understand when you get an offer for your domain name, how much you should sell it for, right? So that you're not underselling. So it really underpins the whole aspects of domain investing as a whole. I think that we picked her as the first episode to, help you to understand the analytical side of things so that you can approach this, not just because you think a name sounds good, but find a name that really has intrinsic value that you'll be able to then sell. So she's an exciting guest. And like I said, we're lucky to have her.
Yeah. And she's another Brit. So I'm always happy to have the UK represented on a podcast, especially a domaining podcast. And then, as you say, valuation is the driving force around your purchasing. So then we go into domain name purchasing. I'm very, very excited about that episode that's coming up. So that's going to be with Dennis Tinerino, right?
Yeah, from domainsmoke.com. Dennis is another person who started out, just as a side hustle. You get to hear his story when we talk with him. I'm always encouraged to hear people that, started out, kind of recently and were able to grow. And both of these, first couple guests started out relatively recently and were able to grow a portfolio and then go into this full time. So Dennis runs a newsletter where he identifies good names for people to look at to see if they want to invest it or not. And he talks about how he built his portfolio over time and started small and was able to scale. And now he has thousands of names and he's profitable. And that's what we want to be able to do. We want to make sure that people, learn what names to buy with Leanne, what data to look at, and then how to grow your portfolio in a smart way. So Dennis does a great job of talking us through that.
Yeah, we're hoping to put a few curveball questions in there, asking him on the spot about some of the domains that he puts into his newsletter. But as you say, it's not a scattergun approach to valuations and buying. I think that Leanne and Dennis are both going to show us that the training, education, and the understanding of the qualities of domains is a really important part of the foundation of domain investing. But it's worth pointing out as well that this isn't just for brand new investors. I think that even if you're an experienced domain investor, this is going to hopefully have some important points in there. You may know it all already. Fine. Okay. That's fine. But hopefully you'll be entertained by just our chats as well.
I like that you brought up that you're probably going to learn something even if you've been around for a while, because I've been doing this, like we said when we started, for almost 20 years, and going through this and talking with our guests that are coming on, I've learned things. So there's definitely things that you're going to pick up after you decide that you know what names you want to buy with the data, and then you've got your portfolio building. Well, it doesn't no good for you unless you can actually sell those names right in your portfolio. So we bring on Allan Shiplet. He's another person who's been in the industry for a long time. He's overseen various aspects of domain investing at GoDaddy, and he's currently the product manager in charge of all the aftermarket at GoDaddy. And prior to that, he was director for sales for Afterday. So he's one of the best people that I know of that really understands how to sell your names using all the data that he's seen, for the last 10 years or so in his role as heading sales for Afterday, to be able to help translate that down to an average investor and let them know the best, practices, tips and tricks, how to get their names out there for sale in the best way possible. So it's going to be exciting to have him join us.
Yeah, make sure you got your notepads at the ready for that one. I think we're all going to learn something from that. Alan's one of my favorite people at GoDaddy, and he's no offense, Joe, but Alan's one of my favorite people at GoDaddy, and he's going to do a phenomenal job on that one, I'm sure. So look out for that one in a few weeks' time. Then after that one, we're going to be piecing everything together, the whole picture, with Mark Levine.
Yeah, and Mark is another great guest. Like I said, we're lucky to have these guests that join us. Mark is a very successful domain investor. Over the years, he's shared at different conferences or through websites like DNW, Domain Name Wire. His year-over-year process, all of his sales, what he spent, so you could see what his total profit is. He's very open, and he's been successful at running domain investing as a full-time business and being profitable. So we want to learn from him, how does he take everything that we talked about in those first few episodes and put that together, in a real practical way. And so that's going to be a lot of fun, because you get to hear, kind of peek behind the curtain all the secrets of, a successful person who's in the investing space. And he gets to share what he's actually doing, practical things for you to do.
100%. And not just that he's an experienced investor, but he's not constantly buying domains worth tens of thousands of dollars. He's doing what most people will probably be starting out doing anyway, which is purchasing at low prices, looking to flip them for hundreds or thousands of dollars. And then, as you say, this is just a holistic look at his whole process. He's a very transparent domain investor. It's something that you don't get too often in domain investing, but he's very willing to share all his information. And then one bonus episode that we're going to be doing is a chat with the boss.
So Paul Nix, we call him the boss because he's our boss. He's in charge of everything at GoDaddy that has to do with the aftermarket. And he's been around, as long as I have, 20 years, so a wealth of knowledge and experience. And he's run the aftermarket at GoDaddy for many years. So he's got the highest level view of everything that happens, sales, purchases, brokers, everything that happens as far as domain investing goes at GoDaddy. And he's able to share, not only where we came from and kind of how things work, but he's also talks about some of the best practices that you could do and employ. And hopefully he'll give us some, hints of where domain investing is going if we could pry those out of him.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting. But you can see that all of the guests that we're going to have over the course of this series, they weren't created in a vacuum. They were part of that wider community of domain investing. And the community online is such a vibrant place, but virtual events, in-person events, forums, blogs, they all make up this ecosystem that we call domain investing. So where do you think people should start when we're talking about putting your toes into the water of domain investing for the first time?
This is a great place to start watching this new miniseries we have. We'd like you to check out domainacademy.com so that you can go and learn. We have classes for everyone at every level, and we have a set of tools to help you to do research for domains. So you can, decide, like we talked about, you want to use analytical approach. You want to look at different things and find out if, what comps are for the name that you're looking at. Has it sold? So we've got a full gambit. You also want to check in the community. There are live conferences that happen a couple times a year. You're going to find out about those mainly through Twitter or X. You could follow at domain name Wire. He usually, Andrew runs that, and he usually talks about industry events and things that are happening. I would also watch on NamePros. It's a great forum, namepros.com. They talk about what's going on in the industry. And domaining.com is a blog aggregator for all the different domain blogs. It's a great place to check. And you could follow us at DN Academy. That's our handle on X. And like and subscribe to the video so that you can hear more about new things that we're releasing.
Sounds like a good plan. So with all that in place, I hope that everyone enjoys the series that's coming up. Stay tuned right after this for episode 2 with Liam, which we're going to be putting out. And then it's going to be one a week after that project.
Yeah, that's right. So we have a bonus episode. We're going to release 2 right out of the gate. And then we're going to be releasing one every week after that for the next few episodes. We're really glad that you came to watch us today. We hope you love it. If you do, please leave us a comment. If you've got questions, we're happy to answer them. Leave any comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.